to the program Power to Unite with Elvira. We just have another chance here in Phnom Penh to interview another person whom you will really be impressed because he gave up so many things. What is this all about? Why did he choose to be here in Phnom Penh? You know, what influenced him? This is none other, you know, the highly esteemed director of Hollywood. And he chose to come here to help and founded the Cambodian Children's Fund. This is none other, you know, that Mr. Scott Neeson. So,
hi.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Scott, your story, you know, can inspire the future youth who will be our next leader and the children to see the world still bright.
Yes,
that
indeed.
there's still so much hope. Scott, can you tell me, you know, your background?
Yes.
Why did you get involved? Why did you found this one? You know?
I was in the film business. I was president of 20th Century Fox. I'd been in the role for 10 years. We had a good run of movies. We had Titanic, Braveheart, Independence Day, X-Men. So I was in a very good position.
So much.
Oh, we were in it, yeah. So I was very well regarded. So I had finished my contract at 20th Century Fox and had an offer to run the same at Sony Pictures. So I signed the contract and I took 5 weeks off and travelled through Asia. And I had no idea and no real motivation to do charitable work, philanthropy. I was very happy in Hollywood because I was working at a senior level, working on films, dealing with the actors, the awards, the film festivals.
The world is such a fit.
I had, you know, I had nice cars and boats and big houses. But when I was travelling through Phnom Penh, by I don't believe in coincidence, but by pure luck, a friend's friend who I'd met sent me out to a place where there was, I asked to see a place where there was really abject poverty and where there was no one else helping. Because there's so many, as you probably know, a lot of the kids who beg on the streets have got parents and the parents are exploiting them. They sent me out to a place that was the municipal landfill of Phnom Penh, so basically the big, the Smoky Mountain here. I was really shocked at the conditions because there was roughly 1,500 children working and living on this landfill. A lot of the kids had been left there by parents that didn't really want them anymore. The mothers had remarried and had left with the new husband. A lot of them were orphaned, moved there on their own. And a lot of this, I don't judge the parents. A lot of them had been through the Pol Pot days. They were carrying post-traumatic stress. They never learnt how to care for a child. So these children were left there. And the first time I went there, it was a really profound experience. And it wasn't, I mean, the first part clearly was the terrible conditions. The smell, these children were very sick in a lot of cases. They would sleep on the garbage dump. It was so hot because there's fire going all the time. The garbage produces methane, the methane burns. But the other thing was, there was a child that was walking past at the time, very, very small, and wearing all the clothes. I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. It was a girl, an 8-year-old. And I talked to her. She had a mother there, talked to the mother, and they were working, living on the garbage dump. There was a younger sister who was 4 years old, who was extremely sick with typhoid, very, very sick. They couldn't afford the medical treatment. And it was a genuine mess. But with a translator there and a friend who I trusted, I took about an hour worth of discussions, and I'd found a place for them to rent a room off the garbage dump for $10 a month. I'd set up a system where when I was gone, the girl could be registered in school. I would send over roughly $30 a month, and that would pay for the schooling, the rent, food, and it worked out so well. But I got back to my hotel, and it really struck me that I had, in that 1 hour and for $30 a month, I'd profoundly changed the course of this child's life. Instead of going on the course of living on a garbage dump and eventually going in her mother's footsteps and marrying someone that she would meet there in 10, 15 years' time. She would now be going to school.
Yes.
I had always had a rationalisation that I didn't give to charities because I didn't think I could make a difference as just one person. I thought it was someone else's problem. And I also had the belief that without knowing where my money was going, there was a good chance that there was going to be big salaries, ineffective use of the money. But when I was standing on the garbage dump and it's just me, there's this girl, and there's the mother, there's nothing in between. If I walk away, then the girl stays there. If I take action, then her life changes completely. And it struck me that we all have a power within us. We tend to underestimate just how much potential we have to change a life. And I couldn't get out of my mind. The next day I went back and 2 other kids, a boy and a girl, also moved off the garbage dump. And I began to realise that we're far more empowered than we like to think. And it tends to be, we rationalise to ourselves that we can't help, we can't do that, because it's too confronting for us. The girl that actually just graduated university last year with a degree in management and finance.
So it's a 360-degree turnaround for you. You were in a state of shock because you're living a very good life.
Yes. Well, there was a shock of seeing the poverty and then the understanding that I did have the ability, the power, and also an obligation, because I think everyone inside, people like to believe they've got good values, that they have they've got goodness in their heart. But for me, when I'm standing there, I've got a choice. I could walk away and go back to Hollywood and continue making films, or I could do everything I could to try and get these kids off of a landfill. Now, and that's a very stark
revelation.
Look at, either you go one way, you go with your values, or you go back to the life that you'd been living. And I could have done that. I could have gone back to Hollywood, maybe sent money over here on a regular basis and continued working in Hollywood, but I just felt that I was meant to be doing this.
So it's the catalyst.
And I was good at doing it too. I loved solving problems, working with people here, ensuring that we'd hire good people that would look after the children. So we started with education, then we started a medical clinic, we built houses for the people to live in, we rented groups, and it was a great experience. And the more children that were being brought off the garbage dump and into school, the more motivated I became, and I started to see a longer term vision, that they could get a better quality education than public schools. We could look after the families so the children could go to school, and it grew from there. I ended up spending 1 year at Sony, and I would make a trip over to Cambodia for 1 week every month, and so I wasn't really focused on my job. So 3 weeks in Los Angeles, 1 week in Cambodia. I thought initially that I could make the two worlds coexist because I was earning a very good salary and I could send all the money over here and run a charity. But the issue became that if I wasn't here in Phnom Penh, things would fall through the cracks. Children would not get picked up. There's potential of trafficking, there's potential of them not coming one day. There's also, in one case, when a bus driver didn't turn up, and these poor children that I'd promised an education to were never picked up to come into the charity, and those things was just too much. And so I had to make the decision to be based here, have a good quality of programs, care, nutrition, or be based in America and have enough funding to run it, make a compromise.
Quite different. You might end up being frustrated. It's different when you are there, presently seeing the problem every day, solving, help the problem. So you sacrifice yourself a lot. So that's the catalyst for you to see you are needed.
It is actually. It's that sense of being needed.
So we will continue, our beautiful conversation with Mr. Scott Nelson sa babagli po ng Power to Unite with Elvira.
Double R is now at Radio Bandido, an informative program that tackles all issues concerning all walks of life, delivering hottest issues and events, with health consultations on air and a lot more, with your host veteran newsman 𝗣ποι𝘄𝗲𝗿 and master entrepreneur 𝗨𝘶𝗶𝘁𝗲. Double R sa Radio Bandido every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. You can catch Double R on DZRJ 8:10 a.m., Radio Bandido TV channel 224, TV Plus boxes, and streaming live on Facebook/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. and YouTube channel DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido. 𝗨ʰ𝗶𝘄𝗲𝗿 is a news-oriented program that tackles topical issues and headlines with the support of DZRJ field reporters. Hosted by the legendary Jimmy Morato, Monday to Friday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air channel 29, DZRJ 8:10 a.m., Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m., and on YouTube channel DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido.
So that's good. You founded this foundation because it's the one that now you know your vision, your idea, you can implement, just like you're doing in Mobi.
And also those people who cannot obviously come to Cambodia, they've got families, the filmmakers have got a lot of responsibilities. They know me, they trust me, and it's clear that I didn't move here for the money because I sold everything in Los Angeles in order to set up the charity. And so it gives, there's a gateway for those who wouldn't normally give to charities to be able to give, knowing that the money's going to someone they trust, they know that it's been well used. So it became a very good model for me, for the charity. And still, even now, still get some money from the filmmakers over there. So,
and it's very important that we should avoid this dole-out system.
Yes.
Yes.
I found too that unlike the children who are in the tourist areas, they've been exploiting tourists, and the children themselves get exploited by parents or relatives who take their money. When I was on the garbage dump, I was standing on this horrendous landfill. The children there, invariably, they always, when they came up and asked for something, they didn't ask for money. They would always ask me, please take me to study. I want to study.
That's good.
And even at the young ages, it amazed me that they would understand that the way to get off of there long term and to take their own families off was through education. And it's hard when a child doesn't ask for money, when a child says, can you get me into school, how do you say no? You know, it really hooked me in. And it's just, saying no is just not an option. If they ask for money, then you can say no, you don't feel so bad about it.
And
when a child looks at you and says, can you get me into school?
Yes,
wow,
and you are
very
in the
powerful.
position to do something.
And when I realised I could do that,
yes,
I sold everything in America, and my budget said that I could support it for my own money for the next 20 years, provided I didn't have more than 80 children or 100 children. And nowadays we have 2,000, so I'm out there fundraising all the time for the education, universities. We have a medical clinic now, building homes. We don't just focus on education, we have leadership, responsibility, and we have the values wisdom program. So there's 3 pieces to it. I think in Asia there's become a tendency to put too much focus just on education and not enough on personal development, family values, looking at traditions, cultures, the structure of families with grandparents. In a lot of countries, South Korea, Japan, it's such an intense focus on just getting an education, getting a degree, getting into the best universities, and I do think that needs to be balanced out with other parts of life.
They were pressured too much.
Oh my God, and so the mental health, suicide,
in Japan, in
Hong Kong,
Taiwan,
pushing all the time to get into the best universities, but there's so much more to life than just a great education. And they need to understand that, the parents need to understand that there's just as much, I think, social status or whatever, if you have a balanced child, if you have a balanced life. A lot of the kids we're bringing in, they came in after working on this landfill, goodness, since they were 4 or 5 years old. So one of the things I insisted was that I'll get you into school, but you also have to have a childhood, because they were sometimes 9, 10, even 12 years old, and they'd never had a chance to be a child. They'd always had responsibility of looking for recyclables, looking after younger siblings, sick parents. They never had a day off. And so having a childhood, having some enjoyment, for me was more important than education. They wanted the education, I wanted them to have a childhood, and it worked out very well. And we both ended up, both of us won, so they were ended up going to school, but we also had a lot of outings, sports competitions, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I can understand you, because we always put ourselves in their position.
Yes,
and we always believe that they should be given the chance, you know. So we cannot change the whole world, but if we can influence, give them a good life, why not?
Absolutely.
So, but
and it has to be balanced, though. You can't just focus entirely on education, or the kids themselves just focusing on social media. They have to experience life, have a bit of taste to understand the joys, where the joy will come from, the grounding that family brings for them, the ability to have a good, solid friendships, respect, environment, community.
The values, Yes. What is important? You are doing good things to help others, you know. There's an attempt, you see. But I think rather than not doing anything at all. You have the power in you. Why not use this power to bring something to help change the world in a very little way, you know?
You have to. You have to do everything in your power to make it a better world. But the irony is that we put in place a program where our students, when they're in their teens, they look after a grandparent, a group of 3 or 4 14, 15-year-olds. They will look after a grandmother, which means checking up 3 times a week, building a relationship, rice, fresh water, making sure she's healthy. And at the same time, the grandmothers will talk to the child about how things used to be back in the 60s, the structure of the family, the structure of grandparents, the traditions, the daily traditions, annual traditions, superstitions, everything that goes into, I guess, wisdom is the grouping of it. And I think that's essential to bring balance. And it was only just recently I realised that they need to be doing the same in America and Australia. The Western countries have lost that sense of wisdom, because you have families now where the grandparents are put into retirement homes. Then they bring in nannies to look after the children, and then you have both parents are working all the time, and there's no one to teach the children the values. There's also a benefit for the family too, because the grandparents have so much they can teach the grandchildren. The parents may have to work, they'll be out of the house 10, 12 hours a day, they have to bring in the income, and it's the grandparents who should be looking after the children. And it was my dad, when he was alive, would come out here, and the children adored him. He was in his 80s. He was so happy when he came out. When he was back in Australia, I would have meetings with the children, ages 10 to 14, and they asked me, when my father goes back to Australia, who looks after him? And I told them they lived in a retirement community. And they said, what's that? And I had to explain the retirement communities where the old people go there, and we pay people to look after them. And it really upset a number of the Cambodian teens. Yeah. They thought that was terrible.
It's not their road.
No, and then someone else said, well, if the grandparents are living in a place on their own, who looks after the children when the parents are working? And I had to say, well, then we pay people to come in and work as nannies to look after the children. And I realised none of this was making any sense. It sounded so strange. And finally, one of the older kids said, the grandparents are here, and then you're paying people to look after the children. Who teaches the children about wisdom? And I thought, oh, you got me now. It was like checkmate. I said, I don't know. I said, I guess we don't value wisdom anymore. It's education, it's money, it's maybe status, but the concept of wisdom seems outdated. It seems old-fashioned, and
don't you
it
feel
shouldn't be
embarrassed at that time when a child asks you, you are here helping us, yet you are not doing anything to your parents?
Absolutely, and then trying to explain
it's something like it's a pretension,
No, and then
so
the insanity of paying someone to come and look after the children and paying someone to look after the grandparents. It sounded so illogical.
So you have to explain this, our culture.
They taught me better than I taught them. I learned so much.
What is important is that don't follow the Western influence, the Western world.
It's hard. There's so many pressures too. The clothing, they want to get the new telephones.
The millennial kids are pressured so much because I have seen my nephew listening to music. In front is the iPad and opening the television. I said, this is a scary world. How can he concentrate?
It's like a device.
And he was a very good boy. He grew up with me. So I realized that what is important, you make them feel the love. Anyway, it's really nice talking to you, but we will continue our beautiful conversation. I hope you don't mind. We will have another one. So magbabalik po ang programang Power to Unite with Elvira.
𝗨İ𝗶𝘶𝗵 with host Sunny Ilustre digs into current events and human interests. All viewers and listeners are invited to take part in the discussion. All opinions are welcome and respected. 𝗨İ𝗶𝘶 is open to assist those experiencing injustice. The motto of the show is, if God is with us, who is against us? Seen every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. or on YouTube, channel DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido. Join Arnel Doria as he explores the world of travel, transportation, road safety, and the environment. Tune in to Good Trip every Saturday at 1 to 2 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. and YouTube channel DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido.
So, Mr. Scott Nilsson, thank you so much for sharing, why you get involved, why you give up your beautiful career. As I was sharing, my relationship with my nephew, whom I said, how can he survive in this, technical, too much technology, And I was very surprised, because we are trying to find out what's wrong with him. So we spent time, my mom and I, really took good care of him, show love. For me, the power of love is very, very important. The love that he felt, you care for him, that makes him strive to show that, it doesn't go to waste.
And that's the big motivation with the children we have, because no one's ever told them that they're loved, that someone's proud of them, will acknowledge if they do well in school, if it's their birthday, just those small things to know that they are special to one person. Every child has to feel special, has to feel loved, has to feel that they have a meaningful part of someone's life. It's essential.
You have been here for 10 years with this family.
15 years now.
So what did you see, the things that you think makes it work, that you were able to feel very complete, but not totally complete, because you still need to do a lot more?
Yeah, well, it's just the potential to change a child's life. And to do so in 180 degrees, because you can see the current path of the life is terrible. The parents have either alcoholism, they've abandoned them, drug addictions, and we can put them on a path where they have all the opportunities for happiness, not just education, but balance, a sense of purpose in their lives, a sense of happiness, family, and the ability to turn the light on. You see these children, the light in their eye is gone when you find them. And within a month or two, when they feel cared for, they've got such a change. Their whole face has changed. The light comes on, they become whole again. And having the ability to do that, to make that change, is a real gift. I feel very blessed to be able to be in a position where I can facilitate that. I get to see it every day. There's a wonderful video we've made, which we're releasing on December 7, which is showing over the last 15 years some of the changes in the individual children, big, small, how they've gone from garbage picking to university graduates, filmmakers. And it's been an amazing journey. And to be part of that, to be able to facilitate that part of a child's life is just, it's a blessing. I've been very lucky.
Yeah, and you have proven that given the chance, they can make a change.
Amazing, just a small bit of opportunity.
Yeah.
They don't realise it, but the bigger gift is being loved, being cared for, having people around them that have unconditional love, whether they do well, they can do things wrong, you don't want to leave them, you don't want to throw them away. That is a bigger gift, which they learn later on. So they have a childhood, they have security, and they get to go to school. And there's nothing greater, there's nothing else you need in life. And
you never regret for 15 years you make a change in your life?
No regrets. Yeah. I do, every now and then I do miss it. I'll be on a garbage dump on a Sunday, my friends will call up there at the Academy Awards or the Cannes Film Festival. On Sunday I take my boat out with my friends. I do miss that. But there's nothing about regret. I mean, when
you saw the smile.
Oh my goodness, yes.
The smile of the children.
And I see it every single day.
Makes a lot of difference, right?
I go down there every night and there's always children that come running out, yelling my name.
Yeah, hugging you.
Dozens of them. Yeah. Dozens every night. I mean, that's probably the most blessed life you could hope for. What else is there?
What is important is that your needs is also simple.
Yes, it is now.
So we will continue. I hope you will give me another.
I would love to. Yes.
Another part. So see you next week dito po sa programa ng Power to Unite with Elvira.
Good News Pilipinas with host Francis de Guzman is advocacy in action, which brings to you exclusives to enhance life's values that really matter. This program also brings forth guideposts on scriptural truths, giving hope to nations. Watch and listen on Radio Bandito TV every Sunday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. on Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 810 AM, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM, Radio Bandito. Litrato Philippines, hosted by Mike Francisco, showcases a variety of wonderful, uplifting beauty queens from all over the world, Philippine tourism, culture, and lifestyle, and issues being faced in our country. Catch them Monday to Friday, except Tuesdays, on Radio Bandito TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM, Radio Bandito.
Welcome back to the program Power to Unite with Elvira. This is already part 2 of our beautiful conversation with Scott Nisson, the founder of the Cambodian Children's Fund. So he did give up a lot just to show his love, his concern, his genuine care, and he gave so much hope to a lot of children, especially those in the field, and it was he becomes a catalyst. He was given a mission. He's not aware when he come here because he was enjoying his life as the president of 20th Century Fox and then Sunny. He didn't see the other world. The Asian countries needed him. It's only when he come back here during our part 1 conversation that he realized that my life is empty, isn't it? And he feel he has to do something. So he gave up everything in Hollywood, the power, the connection with beautiful stars, the decision to be somebody on top, telling everyone like this and like that, the pressure. He gave all this one because he saw, I think children should be given a chance. And he is proving through this Cambodian Children Fund what he can do. Mr. Nisson, thank you so much. I know you are in a hurry, but your life is beautiful. And really, the Filipino televiewers wants to learn and be inspired by you. Have you any inclination when you were young that you will end up doing this foundation?
Not
what
at all.
kind of life do you have? Are you an Australian, not American?
I was born in Scotland. I grew up in Australia. I worked in America for most of my career. So I've got many homes now. Yes.
So how do you feel the constant change of one work to another? So how does it influence you to stay put in Cambodia? Because you have been traveling a lot and then suddenly you make a 360 degree. So what do you think is really motivates you so that one day you will end up in Cambodia? There are so many countries that needed you. You can do a lot of change.
Yes. Well, I think first of all it was what are your priorities in life? And I made the shift that I'd earned a lot of money and I had a lot of material goods, but ultimately that wasn't going to be enough for me. I didn't want to be retired and maybe on my deathbed and feel good that I had millions of dollars in the bank or a big house, fast car. That to me is not a life goal. I know now that having 2,000 children through school or 60,000 people, medical treatments, it's got a lot more meaning to it. And I never thought in a million years I'd be drawn into a charity. I came from a poor background and I never finished high school myself.
Okay.
So I got my job as a cinema projectionist, running projectors, and I worked up from there. So it was a very unlikely journey to become
the president.
Yeah, in a film studio. So it was an unlikely journey, and it was difficult because when you're in Hollywood, everyone tells you how lucky you are. And so when I told people I wanted to give it up, I wanted to move to Cambodia, help these children, everyone, even close friends,
you're crazy.
Yeah, and it does impact you. You've got so many people telling you you're crazy, you're giving up the best job, how lucky you are. There's obviously hundreds of people below who want your job, are pushing upwards, and everything pushes you to feeling like all the pressures, all the people push you to believing that the more senior you are, the higher you are in a corporation or the film business, the happier you should be. And of course, if you're not happy, then you end up rationalizing internally that there's something wrong with me, that there's something wrong with me, that I'm not happy even though I'm president. But you don't voice it because no one's going to understand and no one's going to give you any advice. So it ends up being very much a decision of the heart. You have to look inside yourself because no one's going to understand, no one's going to give you encouragement to leave Hollywood and work on a garbage dump.
And you never get married?
No, I didn't. No.
So, but I think after telling me a little bit about your childhood, now I know why you empathize with the
absolutely.
poor. Because you said you come with a poor background.
Yes.
You never finish education,
high school. No.
but you were able to end up as president of 20th Century Past and 𝗨 Corporation.
Yes.
It's an achievement. Because in America, as long as you have the guts, the will,
yes.
you can succeed, right?
You can.
So
yes.
you can succeed. But sometimes this is not reality. This is not the real world you are searching for. Your heart is still there looking for something where you are not ashamed of your background, but rather you feel, with my success, I still have to do something to make it, That's why when you decided to set this foundation, did your father said, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, he was the one that thought I was crazy, because having not had an education, he was always concerned that I would go back to being poor again, like when I was a child. He was always concerned that leaving my corporate life, and I was putting too much on the line. I could end up going back to where we were 50 years ago.
Do you have a very close relationship with your mom and your
I did,
dad?
yeah, both my mother and father. Yes,
and
I did.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother, and he comes out. I have one brother, and he's out here in Cambodia 2-3 times a year. He helps me enormously. He loves it. He absolutely loves it here. It changed everything.
We will continue, our beautiful conversation with Mr. Scott Nelson sa babagli po ng Power to Unite with Elvira.
Fierce, fast, and on the go. Reporters Hour, hosted by 𝗘𝗹𝘃𝗵. Meet the fearless reporters of Teleradio Bandido TV: Celestino Jojo Sikat, Vance Fernandez, Jong Manapas, Jimmy Mahusay, Felix Tambongco, and Romel Madrigal. During a crisis, you need timely and up-to-date reports on Radio Bandido TV daily, plus on Reporters Hour on Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 8:10 a.m., Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m., and on YouTube channel DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido.
May problema ka ba sa asawa, kaibigan, katrabaho, boss o negosyo? Tanong mo, sagot nila attorney. Mag-PM lang ng inyong problema at sasagutin iyan live ng abogado ng bayan na sina Attorney Nicky De Vega at Attorney Carlo Nicolas. Libreng payo ng abogado mula kina Attorney Nicky at Attorney Carlo. Ang Buhay at Batas ay isang programa na nagsasanib ng samut-saring mukha ng buhay at iba't ibang aspekto ng batas. Sabi nga nila, ang buhay ay parang batas. Paminsan mahirap, pero may abogadong tutulong sa'yo. Watch them every Tuesday from 12 noon to 1 p.m.
on Radio Bandido TV,
Channel 224 Sky Cable, Free-to-Air Channel 29, TV Plus boxes, DZRJ 8:10 a.m., Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. or on YouTube channel
DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido.
Now I understand why you were able to give up everything. You had nothing to lose. No, because you understand the situation. Yeah. I think that's the beauty of it, that you are just paying back.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you were given the chance also. So why not give others a chance? If you can succeed, why not others?
No.
And what is the best is the Cambodian children, the orphan, the poor, And
growing up poor as well, having a very poor background, it gives me the ability to know what the children need to hear about they've got potential, they're great kids, they're loved, I'm proud of them, all the things that you want to hear as a child in the same situation. You end up understanding, you empathize, and I can see myself in the eyes of these children.
Yeah,
and
so
I know what they need to hear in order to be motivated. And they call me father, and I know I'm closer in most cases to the child's real father, because there's obviously a lot of violence, alcoholism. Fathers have run away. in the community where I work, not in Cambodia as a whole, but certainly in this one community, where there's a large number of dysfunctional families.
Everywhere.
And this is a place where I feel like I was meant to be. Everything just came together. All the years of working in a business, film industry, my own background as a child, it all just came together in the perfect place where I was meant to be.
And for those who are graduating after spending 15 years, I think isn't it
200
nice?
in university.
Yeah, imagine they could do something to help, follow your footsteps and be of service to their country, to their fellow, poor people,
And the beauty for me, the real sense of legacy is that those children that have come off the garbage dump and they've now been through a great education, they have a good understanding of values, of family. When they have children, those children will never know the same poverty. And when they have grandchildren, say 40, 50 years from now, that piece of poverty will broken that generation cycle. Their children and all the children that follow, they will never know poverty. We've broken it forever. And that's real legacy. I mean, when I'm well and truly dead and gone, there'll still be these children who have better lives, middle-class lives, loving parents, good educations, because I made the decision to come here. And that's probably the best, that's what I want my legacy to be. Not statues, but just knowing that each of these children were brought in will have children who won't know poverty, abuse, the suffering that their parents did. I give out photographs to all of their kids because I don't believe their grandchildren will believe the poverty they came from. They're living on a garbage dump, the suffering, the complete neglect. Their grandchildren will be middle-class children, and I want them to understand what their grandparents had to achieve in order for them to be there.
Sacrifices, that life, they are born with a different situation. They should not lose it. They should not take it for granted. But this is happening in the third world country and the rich countries. Because the parent doesn't like them to suffer, so they were spoiled, they were given everything, and that's the disaster.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why you have seen
photographs because I want them to understand their roots. It's nothing to be ashamed of. They should be proud of their grandparents that they overcame such
obstacle in life.
Yes, they had to. They suffered and they overcame, and because of that, the grandchildren have such better lives because of it. And that's a wonderful legacy.
And I think you are doing the right job because you empathize with them. You don't want things that happen to you will happen to them. So you give them the chance, you give them the opportunity.
It's not pity. There's no pity needed. It's all about
it has to be
empathy.
Something that you don't ask for payback, but rather we gave you the opportunity, do the best you can to help others. Now it's your turn to do something.
Yes.
It's not, they don't have to pay you back because
not at all.
You gave it for
very
free.
Clear about that.
Because you understand because you were given the chance also.
It has to be unconditional.
It's
it has to be unconditional
love.
Anyway, it's unconditional love, unconditional care, opportunity. There's no obligation to pay back.
So for 15 years, you never regret the decision,
no, not at all.
Right?
No.
So you feel very complete as a person.
I do. I completely. I really do.
You were surrounded by love.
More than anyone else I know. More than anyone else.
Yes, and the smile, the hug.
The smile, the light in the eyes. And I'd love for you to see the video that shows the children as I found them and where they are now. There's such a distinct change in their faces, the smiles, the light that comes out. That's just, you can't put a value on that.
Don't you feel children's needs are very simple?
Absolutely, yes.
That's why do we have to deny them?
But it's also, we make it so complicated.
Yes.
It's hard to, children's needs are very simple, but somehow we are messing up kids by raising them without those fundamental things.
Yes.
Children need to be taught the rules. You can't be, a parent's not meant to be the best friend. They're not meant to be the confidant. And children have to understand rules. You have to be somewhat strict. Otherwise, they grow up without knowing boundaries. You have to show them love. You have to express it with words, actions. You have to make sure that they're confident, they're worthy of being loved. And that's really, there's not much more beyond that.
You see, that's why make the world so complicated when these future leaders, only need simple life. They only needs love and understanding. They need, if I need to talk to you, there is somebody willing
Yes.
to listen.
I
That's
see.
why we in the media also should play a role by listening to the,
absolutely.
because 20 years ago is very different from now. 40 years ago is very different. So we also need to be educated. I think it's us who should be educated, not the children.
Yes.
Because we don't understand the world. We still think, do this, do that. No, it's not that kind of world anymore.
No.
We are sending a message. The media are listening. The media is giving you an opportunity. That's why we are training them with the video. Tell us a story
Yes.
about you, So that's why our theme for the 3rd Southeast Asia Video Festival this year is United in Love, because we believe no matter where we are, no matter who we are bounded by love.
We are.
That's the word. You do
as you
all these
say,
things
it is
because
so
of
simple.
the goodness in your heart, the love,
Yes.
So that was really a beautiful conversation that we have.
Thank
but
you. Yes.
we will come back for you to give a message to the Filipino, your experience. So magbabalik po ang programa ng Power to Unite. Dahil alam ko po, excited na po kayo. Ano kaya ang masasabi ni Mr. Nilson? Siya po ang tabayan ninyo.
Contra Birada is back on Radio Bandido TV, simulcast on DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Hosted by former spokesperson and chief legal counsel of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, attorney Salvador Sal Panelo. Watch and listen as he talks about the latest news topics and events. Monday to Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Sky Cable Channel 224, all DTT boxes, Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. and YouTube channel DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido.
Be enlightened with inspiring stories. Interesting biblical features. And insightful interviews with the pillars of our Catholic faith. Power to Unite with Elvira.
Mr. Scott Nilson, this is the first time that our country will hear you, will be inspired. Many philanthropists, we call them philanthropists all over the world. In the Philippines, we also have a lot. But it's different when you can feel the genuine.
Yes, authenticity. It's so
it should not be like
critical.
this company, this person donated 100 millions and then show it in the newspaper. You never did that. You get yourself involved, spend a lot of your own time and money because you feel you owe it to them. You feel that you have to show them your sincerity for them to trust you. The word is trust, respect, and sincerity. For them to say,
yes,
I found somebody who really cares for me. That's where the horizon becomes brighter for them. So any message would you like to share with our Filipino? I'm sure you have seen the Philippines.
I have. I love it there.
We also have the same kind of situation. You choose Cambodia, but that's okay, because they have a very tragic history, and I believe they should be given the chance.
Yes.
They should remember the past. They should not forget about it, but see to it, it will not be repeated again.
That's the issue with history. History forgotten is history repeated.
Yes, so any message you'd
the
like?
message is, one of the things I found out, one of the messages that I realized is that I think as human beings we tend to deny ourselves our own ability, our own potential. We tend to think that we don't have the power to do something, that if we step out of what people consider as normal, that will fail. And what really made me change was partly the horror, but it shocked me that I had the potential to make so much change in just one person's life. Mother Teresa, I think, said, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. And that's where I started from, just getting that one child into school. And then the family, getting the younger sister into hospital, and expanded from there. But we have so much more power inside us, so much more ability than I think we realise. And I feel strongly that if we don't try and utilise our own potential, then we can never be truly happy. The greatest reward is being able to do something for others, doing something where there'll be no payback, there'll be no remuneration back for it. That's where I think joy in life comes. And unless we take that step and try and use our full potential, then we don't have any hope of having a really fulfilled, happy life. That's my own belief, based on my own experience.
And I think I agree with you. I have seen what kind of person you are with our short interview. Narinig po niyo sa part 1, part 2 ng interview natin sa kanya na he has a big heart, he has goodness in him, but he was able to realize he can do much more. By helping the Cambodian poor people, he was able to make a lot of changes. He gave up so much in his life, the power, the pain, and everything. He said, fast car, everything. But for him, life is not complete. There is still something lacking because he grew up in a poor family. He empathized. Then when he was exposed to Cambodia the first time at the dump site, then he realized that 360-degree turn around because it reminds him he was given a chance from being poor, then becoming, not to finish education, become the president of 20th century Pasani. Why not give others a chance? I think this is what motivates you. And you are just doing what is expected of you, but it's because you are very compassionate. He really cares. What is important? We cannot always receive and receive. What is important? We should realize that person sacrificed so much, so we have to pay back, not to him, but by helping others, do service others, and finish education. I think that's the most important thing we learn. If you have the chance to do something for a change, do it. You have the power in you, but see to it this power can benefit a lot of others, but not because for yourself. Stop thinking about yourself. Let others who benefit from you realize that they can also do something. So I hope you like the episode, and we really thank Mr. Scott Nelson for giving us time. I know he has to leave early because so many appointments. He is very loved.
Children,
Napakaganda po ang sharing ni Scott Nelson sa atin na I hope we can learn from him. So, nakita po natin napakalaki ng kanyang puso at sana nagustuhan yung episode namin at mapapanood natin another episode next week. Iba naman po ang atin mai-interview. So, stay tuned with the program Power to Unite with Elvira.
The views and comments of the host